What's the worst defense you've seen someone make in a court?
A guy was in court for a DUI, and he insisted on taking the stand when his lawyer advised him not to. Turned out he wanted the judge to know the cop who arrested him was just some rude kid trying to be a big shot, and he wasn't even drunk. He'd only had 2 bottles of wine with dinner. His lawyer interrupted him to try to get him to stop talking, and he told his lawyer to shut up. Then the judge advised him to listen to his lawyer, and he told the judge, "I'm not a damned child, don't interrupt me," and the judge just smiled, and sat back and said, "Please, proceed." We all knew it was over for this guy. He got maxed on the charge, and advised in the future if he was going to pay for a lawyer, he should listen to him. I was the bailiff on a rape case. The defendant was proper, acting as his own attorney. During jury selection, he had the option to wear civilian clothing instead of his jail clothes. He chose to remain in his jail attire, complete with handcuffs and waist restraints. It came time for him to cross-examine the victim. Understandably, she was very upset before he even started. She was crying and refused to look at him. The defendant's first question went like this: "You seem upset. Does it make you nervous to be questioned by the person that raped you?" You could hear a pin drop in that courtroom. He was found guilty and sentenced to 46 years to life in prison. Edit. Several question about the defendant's motivation about asking that question. He was big guy, but definitely not the sharpest knife in the drawer. My personal take was he tried to ask, be questioned by the person you said accused raped you, and flubbed it. I was talking to a seasoned defense attorney about this story and some others. His take on it was some defendants, for whatever reason, commit suicide by court.
Judge, why are you late? Defendant: my mama didn't wake me up. Judge: how old are you? Defendant: 42.
I gave testimony as a health professional in a child custody case. The mother wanted to revoke the father's joint physical custody of the 8-year-old girl. The issue was that girl was asked to wipe her father's butt, apply lotion, and wash his genitals. The father's case was that because he was obese, fatigued, suffering from frequent diarrhea, and taxed to take care of his own hygiene without assistance, it was acceptable for her to do this as long as she wore gloves to avoid contracting hepatitis C from him. He also argued that it taught her a lesson about compassion and caring for those unable to do so themselves, and helped them to bond. Truly incredible.
Please, for all that is holy, tell us his custody was denied. Weary face: I knew a guy that was charged with pimping a 17-year-old girl. Mind you, he didn't tell anyone he knew she was 17. I won't get into the morality of pimping because that's another subject entirely. But his defense was that he wasn't a pimp. He was a rapper and a drug dealer. Like, why the fuck would you admit to being a drug dealer? They threw the book at his ass with like 20 to 26 years. New law for pimping minors, statutory rape, etc. He actually was a drug dealer too, so maybe he thought it would work. Lol. But they clearly had recordings of him from jail where he was talking to this girl and outing himself like an idiot.
I only hit him, he fell off the building himself. A stupid person who Spartan kicked my uncle off a high school building.
I knew a guy who said that the police who responded to the domestic that he had perpetrated had no right to charge him with meth possession since the meth was so pure, no one could have seen it. The Drax defense:
Friend of mine once got a ticket for leaving her car standing in the marked-off no parking zone in front of a grocery store, which she thought was outrageous because she was just running in to get a pack of smokes. Then she saw how much the ticket was for, something like $120, which she thought was just ridiculous because damn it, she was just running in for a pack of smokes. I mean, come on, how is that worth $120? So her plan was to go to court and contest the ticket and point out to the judge how ridiculous that was and offer to compromise at like maybe $40 because for Pete's sake, she was just running in for a pack of smokes and let's be reasonable here. Yes, her plan was to haggle with the judge over how much the ticket should be worth. So she goes to court and sits there most of the day waiting for her case to be called. And eventually she gets bored and goes outside to grab a smoke and hang out. And while she's out there, her case is called. She missed the whole thing, didn't even get to try the whole, come on, $120. For that? Come on, I'll give you $40 and even that's highway robbery, defense on the judge and got hit for the full value of the ticket plus court costs.
If this happened to me, I would quit smoking.
Story from driver's ed. Guy was in court for killing 2 relatively young gals while drunk. Defendant lawyer claimed that the young girls should be at fault because this man was drunk and the girl was sober. She should have had the reaction time to get out of the way. Pretty stupid defense, but in terms of the worst defense, nothing beats that. Absolutely appalling.
A domestic abuse case. The husband was the accused. The couple was in their late 70s or early 80s. When asked if he did indeed abuse his wife, the husband started complaining that some 40 years ago the wife pretended to be ill and he had to do the laundry all by himself, as if he expected the judge to just go, "Oh okay, I guess that's cool then."
Of course his DNA semen was in the alley behind his apartment where a sexual assault took place. Where else would you expect to find your DNA except where you lived?
What, am I gonna jerk off in my own home? Are you some sort of pervert? Of course I'd do that outside.
I had a guy come into my jail with a robbery charge. He tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding because he just took a girl's money and kept the weed he was supposed to buy her for himself, so at most he was just a shitty boyfriend. He made his situation worse by throwing in, "Did she tell you we're fucking?" She was underage. Aggravated criminal sodomy. The defense attorney said the rape only lasted for a minute. During closing argument to the jury,
"I only raped them a little, leave me alone."
It says here you were drinking and driving. Judge: No sir. I drank then I drove. A guilty guy.
I took a guy to small claims court. His defense was, I didn't have the product, so I couldn't ship it to him. Obviously, the judge was like, "But you took his money." The guy: "Yay, so I could buy the product and ship it to him." Judge: "Did you do that?" Guy: "Not yet." Judge: "Do you have his money?" Guy: "No, I had an emergency and had to spend it." That was that. I won. My sister told the judge that the light wasn't that red. Then he said he was going to suspend her license and she said, "But my dad already took it away."